Hey, we're going to get rolling here this week. It's kind of a crappy day up here in Wisconsin. We got an ice storm in southeast Wisconsin. Almost all the schools are closed. So this is one of those days where I got to tell you, I really look forward to spring and things finally warming up. But the markets are moving here today. And the biggest thing is it's all about Russia, Ukraine, and what's happening over there. And to be honest with you, it's just difficult to get good information on what is happening and even what the impact of the markets are going to be down the road. The biggest thing is this volatility is going to stick around here, and I think it would even stick around without the Russia-Ukraine element, but that's what we're dealing with right now. Now, if we're going to try to bring into context or what to expect with this, we think we got to go back to 2014. And remember, in 2014, it was on February 20th, similar to today's date, to February 22nd, that Russia moved to annex Crimea from Ukraine. On February 22nd, 23rd, Russian troops actually moved into Crimea. By March 18th, it was all over with. So what happened in the markets? Well, I'm going to look at a July Chicago wheat chart right here. And the vertical line we have on the chart is February 20th, the date that Russia announced they're moving to annex Crimea from Ukraine into Russia. And as you can see, the market traded flat a little bit the week after, and then it really took off during the month of March. As I look towards our next chart in here, this is a December 14 corn chart, and corn futures moved up, not to the extent of wheat, but it did rally here from the end of February into March as well. Okay, and I'm not going to say I know what's going to happen at the end of the year, but corn peaked out at peaked out at $5 in May or just above, and by the fall of the year, you had corn back in the 375 range. We don't know what's going to happen, but as we look towards this bean chart in here right now, something similar occurred in 2014 where we got a support with wheat. We ended up putting our spring highs in here, a good crop. Our point with this whole thing is that this Russia-Ukraine tensions right now can give some near-term support in here, but a longer-term fundamental change to the grain markets or grain complex is probably is not going to occur. Just keep that in mind. We think another chart to look at, and everyone's going to bring up, well, what happened in energy prices? This is the December 14 crude oil chart. You can see in February we had December crude oil in the mid 90s. It peaked out at 103. So crude oil gradually did move higher, but it didn't have the volatility in here like what we're seeing today, and the way the crude oil market today is responding to some tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Again, we went up. I'm not saying why crude oil went down in here towards, at the end of 2014, like on the grains with a good crop, but basically this market eased lower. Again, it tends to be shorter term support, not a longer term changing supply demand fundamental event. This is the one thing that we just want to keep in mind here right now is that this Russia-Ukraine deal, again, it offers us some support long term, but it's probably not that bullish catalyst that you'd really want to think it could be. If you really want to be positive longer term, the bet really is on inflation, okay, and talk that higher energy prices could lead to inflation up towards 10%. And then the debate as we look ahead is, what is the Fed going to do to combat inflation? I mean, they need to raise interest rates as they are close to zero. But the thing we'd like to keep in mind right now and look back towards in 1980 is that our national debt was under $1 trillion. Today, it's more than 30 trillion. That's a big reason why we don't think we're going to get runaway interest rates like we had back in the early 80s, is our national debt is just too high. We have our annual meeting coming up on Thursday. We'll go in depth there with crop insurance and go in depth more in markets and looking ahead that way. Please tune in live to our annual meeting at that point. If you have any questions or suggestions, give us a ring. We're going to look at addressing SCO and ECO insurance on Thursday. That seems like that's been a big question that we've been receiving, from producers here over the last few days, especially with insurance prices getting set here in the month of February. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.